Alright, here we go. Dang it.
Hey, how's it going? I'm James England with Concealed Nation. Today, we're covering the Bigfoot gun belt. Now, I know what you're thinking. Another gun belt? Who cares? This one is actually pretty unique, and I'm actually kind of glad I got to review it. As you might notice, looks like there's a little bit more battle damage to this guy than normally comes out of the package. That's not due to the manufacturer. We decided to put it through, let's just say, some destructive tests. We'll show those a little bit later, but for right now, I wanted to discuss this belt right out the gate. Now, some of you are thinking, I don't really need a gun belt. I can go to the department store and pick up a web belt, or some type of canvas belt, or maybe one of those cheap leather belts. It's all the same to me. You can. However, I will say that having a gun belt and wearing a gun belt every day with my everyday carry has changed a lot about the small things, like lower back pain, or if you have to sit on your gun for long periods of time, or if they go from seated to standing to seated to standing, or you move around a lot, you'll immediately notice the difference of a good quality gun belt. And this one, my friend, is pretty far up there in terms of quality. Right off the bat, it's made from 2 layers of 14-ounce English bridle leather. I know, really? 14-ounce English bridle leather? That's the stuff that I have in my barn from the saddles that I put on horses and stuff. But this one, apparently, it comes with it. And at first I was like, that's gotta be a little bit overkill. I mean, why use such high quality of leather for just a belt that you're gonna wear day in and day out? But then I thought about it and it made perfect sense. See, there's small things about a gun belt that kind of stand out. One of them is, you know, your constant sitting and standing and moving around portion. It's going to slowly cause the belt, any normal leather belt, I should say, to warp and bend and then kind of loses rigidity, which then you're going to start experiencing stuff like gun sag, where, you know, you got your gun in your holster and then all of a sudden that side of your pants seems to sag a little bit, and most people won't notice it, but you probably will. So when we're looking at belts like this, you know, it is a lot about the quality of the actual materials that go into it. Get the hype out of the picture, get all the advertising and marketing out of the picture. When you're honestly looking at it, you're looking at something you want to wear, ideally for at least the next 10 years. So when it comes to this type of belt, and again, I definitely took it through the ringers. I honestly see it surviving easily 10 years. More importantly, and this is something that only was revealed through fire, or actually they say on the website too, the spring steel core that goes between these 2 layers of leather. At first I was pretty, I don't know, not plussed about the fact that there was steel in it. I mean, but then again, I don't plan on going through the TSA checkout line anytime soon with a belt on. So I just kind of thought, what's the purpose of putting steel in between 2 layers of leather? Why not just have 2 layers of high quality leather, or a thicker layer of leather? Well, it comes down to reinforcing the 2 layers of leather, because leather is pliable. No matter how thick it is, it's certainly pliable, and it's going to bend and warp slightly with time. The steel, it keeps it relatively straight. So if it gets kind of bent out of shape, it just pushes it, or applies that force back to that leather to kind of keep it in the same straight shape that you started off with. Well, next question is obviously, well, what about the steel involved? I mean, isn't the steel going to cut through the 2 layers of leather? Isn't the leather just going to fall apart, or, you know, be worthless after a while? That's what I thought too. But then I looked at the stitching on it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this looks like military grade textile 270 stitching. I know that sounds like a random shot in the dark type of comment, but I was noting it, and this is the same type of high quality textile material that you'll expect to see in military grade hardware, or any type of textiles getting sewn together. And so I was pretty impressed with it altogether. And looking at it, especially when I was putting it through destructive testing, this is where I burnt through the belt. This is where I burnt through the belt, and over here obviously I hit it with a jigsaw. But as you notice, even with the stitching that's been torched through, this stitching has not frayed, it hasn't come apart, and more importantly, it hasn't made any type of noises that it's going to unravel because it has one hole in it. And now let's look at, this is where I torched off the buckle. One of the things that really sold me on using a steel core backbone to a belt was getting to see how it held up well with destruction. Now, I don't expect to be thrown in a blazing inferno, or much less care if my belt survives it, but I will say that the better constructed materials tend to hold up better with time. And this belt, if anything, has proven that if it can handle the type of load I put on it beforehand, I'm pretty sure it can stand up to the test of time going forward. Also, look at when submitted to heat, the 2 layers of leather, they barely split and came apart at all. And this wasn't just 5 minutes in the furnace or 5 minutes exposed to flame. This was a protracted experiment that I conducted, which I'll show you some clips of that going forward, that you could see this leather held pretty true to its form. And it had to go through a lot of hell in order to really come apart. The last piece about the Bigfoot belt is that, as you'll guess, it's a little bit more pricey than your normal belt. This one comes in at $54.99, somewhere around that price range. $52, $54, in and around there. It's not expensive by any long shot, but it might be something that people, when they want to spend money on holsters and their guns and ammunition, they might look at that additional $50 and be like, why do I actually need to spend that? Well, I will say, in terms of back support, posture, your ability to control how your gun is concealed, a good gun belt like this will definitely withstand the test of time and serve you pretty well. So, in conclusion, the Bigfoot belt definitely has my vote of approval. And if you think it's pretty good, or you found yourself with a different experience, feel free to comment in the comment section below. This is James England, signing off from Concealed Nation.